I was addicted to every single bad habit for a very long time, porn, fapping, masturbation, junk food, video games, social media, all these bad habits I was addicted to for a very, very, very long time. I'm talking years and years and years of being addicted to these things. And when I got into self-improvement and I realized that these things are actually making me depressed, making me anxious, making me hate my life, they're instant gratification and I'm supposed to get rid of all of them, I struggled a lot. And I kept overthinking, how am I gonna actually stop all these bad habits I've been addicted to for years and years and years. But then one day, I started lifting weights. I wanted to build that aesthetic physique, to be more attractive to girls, to have confidence, to, be more healthy. Of course, building aesthetic physique is a fundamental part of self-improvement. And I started lifting weights in my room. And day by day, what's the weird thing that happened? I stopped every single bad habit I was doing without any pain, without any willpower, without any, mental fatigue or anything. Just when I started lifting weights, I stopped every single addiction I had. Just like this. And the reason I stopped every single addiction I had just when I started lifting weights is because my identity changed. And this is how to stop any addiction very, very easily. It's your identity. My identity changed. When I was addicted to all these things, I saw myself as someone who is an addict, is a loser, is a Jeffrey basically, is someone who does all these bad habits. I saw myself as a loser, eating junk food, playing video games, watching porn, fapping. I saw myself as a literal loser, right? But when I started lifting weights, my identity switched. Instead of seeing myself as this loser, stupid guy who just wastes time, has no potential, who will never be successful, I saw myself as this ambitious young man who's building himself up, building his character, building his strength, building a Greek god body who has so much potential. That's how I saw myself. And because my identity changed, I stopped all of the bad habits. The single easiest way to stop any addiction you have is to change your identity. I'm gonna give you an example here. If we have this pack of cigarettes, this pack is full of cigarettes, right? Or cigars, whatever. And these two guys are addicts. And they both get offered a cigar. But one of them says, I'm trying to quit. This one guy says, I'm trying to quit. But this guy says simply, I don't smoke. So this guy right here, he's saying, I know this looks like French fries, but just bear with me here. This guy's saying, I'm trying not to smoke. And this guy's saying, I don't even smoke. I don't do that. So what's gonna happen? Of course, this guy is never gonna drink again because his identity is, I don't smoke. He's not gonna be an addict. But this guy right here, he's gonna stay addicted because he still has that identity. He still has the identity of someone who smokes. He still has the identity of, yes, I do this, but I'm trying not to, but I still get urges, but I still want to, but I'm trying, what brand is it? What label is it? And then he'll just relapse, So instead of looking at yourself as someone who is trying not to, See yourself as someone who simply doesn't. See yourself as someone who is so focused on his goals, who hates degeneracy, who doesn't do any of these bad habits, who doesn't even watch porn, who doesn't even fap, who doesn't even play video games, who find these things not even appealing to him. They're not even that appealing to him. You love real life. You love to chase your goals. You don't even find these stupid desires, stupid, video games and porn. All these things are just wasting your time, and you don't even find them appealing. That's how you need to look at yourself. And I promise you, if you look at yourself this way, you will never have to struggle with addictions ever in your life. And this is without any urges, without any willpower. You will stop all your addictions by simply changing your identity. It's that simple. Without any urges or willpower, you will stop all of your addictions by changing your identity. This is the root cause of addictions. It's because you see yourself as someone who is addicted, who does that bad thing. If you don't see yourself as that person, you will stop all of your addictions very, very easily without any urges or willpower or any resistance, right? But the question here is, how do you actually change your identity? Because I've been rambling a lot on change your identity, but how do you actually change your identity? Well, you become the guy who is just so focused on his goals instead of trying to stop. You right now, you have two options, right? You can either do bad habits, you can either do the bad habits, or you can focus on your goals. Now, if you focus strictly on your goals, your identity right here, your identity will be aligned to your goals. And these bad habits will instantly and automatically just disappear because your identity is someone who is focused on his goals. Does that make sense? So when you focus on your goals, you have the identity, you become the person who is so focused on his goals that he doesn't even have time to do bad habits. It doesn't even find them appealing because he's getting his dopamine already from his goals, right? And that's what happened to me when I started lifting weights. I didn't even find bad habits appealing anymore because I was getting all my dopamine, all my fulfillment, everything from lifting weights and building an aesthetic physique. You might do like me, you could, just get obsessed with one thing. Get obsessed with lifting weights, with going to the gym. Get obsessed with reading, for example. Get obsessed with meditating and journaling and improving your mental health. Get obsessed with self-improvement, and you will never, ever, ever have to worry about bad habits. When you're obsessed with your goals, bro, that's how you stop. Because if you're obsessed with that thing, when you keep thinking about it, your identity is, I am the person who does this thing. Does that make sense? Because the goal was never to be someone who doesn't do bad habits. The goal was just to be someone who is just focused on his goals. Like, the goal was never to be the guy who just doesn't play video games or watch porn. That's just normal. No, the goal was to be the guy, the man, the masculine, productive man who is so focused on his goals. And if you are that guy, you will stop all of your bad habits just like this, bro. So when you focus on your goals, right? When you focus on your goals, like working out, journaling, meditating, reading, improving your sleep, instantly you will stop all of your bad habits. But what if you relapse? What if you were so focused on your goals, you were very, very consistent, you know, productive, waking up early, you know, grinding in the gym, working on your business, meditating, journaling, doing all the good habits. But then just one day you just relapsed. You fapped, or you played video games, or you ate junk food, and you don't feel guilty and depressed and sad. But this is the very, very powerful thing about your identity, is that you realize that there are guys who fap and they go back to not fapping. Now I'm gonna explain this here. Like, there are guys, like, if some guy, right, like if I fap right now and I haven't fapped in a while, right, I haven't fapped in a long time, I'm gonna go back to not fapping. I'm not gonna fap and then, oh, I'm really addicted to fapping, you know. No, because my identity is not that I fap. My identity is just a man who is focused on his goals. Same thing with video games. If I play a bit of video games right now, I will go back to not playing them because it's not in my identity anymore. And I'm gonna explain this. This is how, like, I'm gonna use like fapping as an example because it's really easy to understand. This is what someone who faps and someone who doesn't fap think like. Now the person who faps, he thinks like this: I fap, and then he faps, and then he goes back to I fap. And this right here is like, this is his identity right here. So his identity is I fap, right? I masturbate, that's his identity. So when he faps, he goes back to I fap, which is gonna lead to him fapping again, right? But this is someone who doesn't fap. This guy thinks, right here, I don't fap. Then he faps. He goes back to I don't fap, basically. It's that simple. The reason you are addicted is because you still have the identity of someone who is addicted. It's that simple, bro. This is the easiest way to stop any addiction. Very, very simple. And if you relapse, this is the big thing here. If you go back, if you relapse one time, if you get really horny and you fap one time, you're gonna go back to I don't fap, I don't do that, right? I'll give you an example here. Like, think about athletes, right? You know, athletes, if we went to an athlete, like a very famous athlete, for example, like Ronaldo, like Cristiano Ronaldo, if we went to him and we told him, eat this junk food, he's gonna eat it, right? If we like forced him to eat junk food, if we forced Ronaldo to eat junk food, he's gonna eat it, but then he's gonna go back to eating healthy food, you know? But if a fat man who's trying to like diet, if we went to him and we told him, eat this junk food, he's gonna eat it, and then he's gonna eat it again. And he's not, no, I'm trying not to eat the junk food and all that, but then he's gonna go back to eating the junk food, you know? That's how it works, basically, right? Single easiest way to stop any addiction you have is to change your identity. Think of yourself as someone who just doesn't do these things. Think of yourself as someone who is just focused on his goals and doesn't do these bad habits. Instead of trying to stop, think of yourself as someone who just does the good habits. Don't think of yourself as someone who just does the bad habits. If that makes sense? That's it, bro. And as always, we're in this together and we're gonna make it. I promise you, we're gonna make it together. Peace, take care.